everywhere you turn, there's a small mountain, there's a lake, there's a cove, there's a bay, there's a stream, there's something. It's just so beautiful. Wish you were here, kind of place.
I love the ocean. I love the opportunity for hiking, and I love watching my children walk to school. I love the community that's here and feel very grateful that I'm a member of it.
A lot of the people who come here seasonally come here year after year after year, and so, they add something to it, as well as the people who are here year-round.
It has everything that appeals to me about a place to live. It has natural beauty. It has really nice community feeling about it. It sounds silly, but it's always been very friendly with warm people.
When people come to this community, I feel like they've found a home. Whether it's a place they want to be all the time or whether it's a place they want to come back to punctuate their life, I think that they find that here.
It's vibrant with arts and music, but still with spaghetti suppers and chowder suppers, and I guess the Midcoast is the best of all of those worlds.
It's nice to realize that the place you grew up and the place you've lived your whole life is one of the best places around. I think because it's not like every other place out there.
It's a very vibrant place to work. There are so many different types and groups of people that seem to live and work well together, and I feel very proud to live in this area.
It's just a great place.
I think first you have to identify, why do people want to live here? What is it people don't want to change, or what is it people don't want to lose? I think starting with that and having those values, then you can plan for growth. Just a fear that, we lose Midcoast Maine. It becomes Midcoast Long Island or something.
I think there's a lot of pressure to always get bigger, but I think having scale-appropriate development and scale-appropriate businesses is key.
Not growing all is expensive. Communities deteriorate, they come undone, and we've seen that in a lot of rural Maine. But unthoughtful growth at any cost, in fact, has a lot of cost also. The integrity of the town center, the village, the city center has been compromised.
You see these towns where the useful stores are gone. When there's no longer a small grocery store, there's no longer a gathering place, and you lose that interconnectivity.
The Midcoast actually has fared somewhat better in terms of the ability to maintain a town center or city center. I think it's partly because there is not a large metropolitan place right next to it. Places like Camden, Rockland downtown, Bath downtown, and Belfast still have a good deal intact. And organizations like Friends of Midcoast Maine are devoted to trying to make sure that they do.
If the Midcoast is going to continue to thrive, then it's important for local people to have local businesses, keeping dollars local so that they can continue to circulate and build in the local economy.
I really believe that we should be focusing a good portion of our attention on the growth along the coastlines to working waterfront, because it's really what's going to give you the backbone and the flavor of the Midcoast, be it for tourism, for livelihoods of the people living here.
What's good is the inflow of ideas from other parts of the country and the world. We need those exchanges. We need just to be selective on our own part about which of those ideas fit with who we are as kind of a Midcoast culture. Some towns are on the tipping point of being, too much seasonal, not enough happening in the winter. And other towns that have, if you count the number of coffee shops and per capita, in other towns you'll say, oh, they have a vibrancy, they have a vitality that's not formulaic.
We want businesses, of course we do. We want to be a thriving little community. What's at stake here is that essence of our rural character. I think of us as a family with beautiful daughters, marriageable daughters. Those marriageable daughters are our hillsides, our lakes, our streams, are the beauty of our towns. And it seems like we need a good matchmaker to help us find a suitable suitor, a suitable groom for these beautiful daughters. We're, as a people, uneducated about how to handle development, recognize the inevitability of growth, embrace that it's going to happen, and be proactive in how it's going to happen.
Route 1 is an economic lifeline in more than one way that moves goods and people critically across the region, and business and jobs and lots of things depend on it. But the region also depends on Route 1 to be a scenic corridor, as a gateway. And if the Midcoast loses that, then it loses part of its well-being economically.
We've started some neighborhood meetings in town, and it's all about participation. Everybody thinks they can't make a difference, or it's too late, or there's no sense for them to get involved. But that's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to save the community.
It's really important not to take things for granted. It's really important to remember that we used to have a wonderful little department store downtown. We used to have a movie theater downtown. I have watched the struggle of maintaining a village, and by that I mean a place where community can gather, shop, and participate in local government, while being confronted and being a part of a very fast-growing culture. I'm very appreciative of organizations like the Friends of Midcoast Maine, because they are very much involved in helping individual communities utilizing their own particular vision and work with each community's own infrastructure to do that.
Friends of Midcoast Maine certainly has its focus around issues of growth, collaboration, community dynamics, and sustainability. That's really represents the core of what Midcoast communities are. They have a trust, I think, that's been developed over the past number of years. Their executive director, Jane LaFleur in particular, is seen as a neutral individual who can function in a meeting to moderate a discussion, to guide people to civility in those interchanges. Once you can offer to convene a process involving community people, the people will find their own answers. But most of the time, they just need a sponsor to say, "Okay, I'll help. Let me get you started."
One issue that came up last summer was the fact that our fire department is building a new building. Their current fire department building will be vacated then. That engendered local discussion. People tapped each other on the shoulders and said, let's get together and start talking about this and brainstorming about this. We contacted Friends of Midcoast Maine, and we held the meeting at our local school, and it was very well attended. So people were very engaged. The participants came up with fabulous ideas for what could happen. And just the little nudge to get us started talking, it was phenomenal.
People are busy. They're trying to get through their own lives. In running your business, it takes up so much energy and time that you don't have the energy and time sometimes to look at the whole picture. And that's where a group like the Friends of Midcoast Maine can come in and at least bring it to everybody's attention. Ask some questions that you'd want to ask, but you just can't go to that meeting because you're exhausted from your day or whatever it is.
It seems to me they stay true to the core idea of smart growth, of great community, but also understand that there is a participatory process that is central to what communities are and what great communities are.
Friends of Midcoast Maine was a resource for my neighbors and myself when we were seeking information about the bypass proposal, looking for essentially a network.
We also are amazingly lucky to have Friends of Midcoast Maine right here, to have this group of people who are knowledgeable, committed to holding our hands, being a clearinghouse for resources. We are extraordinarily lucky.
And Friends of Midcoast Maine, they really focus on the infrastructure and strategic planning and the future of various communities. They also are very much involved with supporting the heart and the spirit of the communities as well.
Friends of Midcoast Maine is the kind of advocacy organization that I really like, because they try to understand the total picture of a place. They understand that there are multiple points of view. They understand that there are multiple pressures.
And there's no other organization that takes a regional perspective that does that.
We actually function in regions. We move about in regions. We buy our goods and services in regions. Friends of Midcoast is a regional meeting place. Every region needs a Friend of Midcoast Maine.